It's the anatomy of dolma. You might have many recipes on dolma. You might never heard about dolma. It's a technique, and I want to teach you this technique so that you can use with whatever the ingredients you have at home and make something which is more than some of its parts. Today we're going to make this awesome stuffed peppers with tomatoes on top, and inside is this smooth, great rice and meat and onions together with a lot of different spices and herbs, and it's really a Turkish feast. Everything starts with the anatomy. In the Western cultures, usually people are individualistic. There's always one prima donna in each dish. It could be a steak, it could be pasta, it could be something, but there's one main ingredient, and usually the recipe turns around it. In dolma, it's an end result of collectivistic cultures like us, the collection of small things, and you cannot say there's something specific inside. So, what makes dolma great? Here, it's all the combinations of these things. But there are three main ingredients. It's the rice, meat, and the onion. We have different dolmas which doesn't include meat, and today, further on while I'm gonna explain the recipe, I'm gonna show you how to make it meatless as well. But first to understand is, you put all these ingredients on a small closed space like this, and it cooks inside like a small pressure cooker. Each of these ingredients have mission to complete. First, let's start with the meat. Meat is usually the most tasty thing in the food, so it gives the flavor. But what it does when you cook the meat alone, especially the minced meat, it like crumbles like this. And so we need an acid to let it like be open, have its pores open so the flavors can get in. There, the onion works. Onion with the acidity opens the meat's parts so that spices, the greens, the butter, the oil can get in. That's the job of the onion. And what rice does is, as I said, the meat now opens and the onion has the acidity, but it's very watery. When it's cooking, that water can like flow through or out of the pepper or something, but we need something which is gonna soak that water, grow bigger, make it more stuffed, and at the same time increase the flavor. So rice gets the great juices of the onion and the meat and all the herbs, and it grows and it makes you feel full, and there is also a nice balance of carbohydrate and proteins together. For example, in this recipe with 200 grams of meat and 250 grams of rice, it's gonna fill everyone. Then there's the spices. We have the 5 spice, black peppers, sometimes mint gets in, different kind of spices, helps to increase all the raw flavors of the meat, lifts up the level of the taste for sure for many things. And the fresh greens. Fresh greens, usually it's parsley, sometimes dill, sometimes a bit of mint, and these greens also balances the flavor, again, hires up the taste. The butter hires up the taste, changes the texture of the water of the whole dish that is cooking. It makes it to a more gravy-like texture. And at the same time, we need another kind of oil which will go around all these in a faster and better way, and it's the olive oil, which works, carries when the spices starts to get warm, gives flavors to the oil, and the oil carries those flavors to the meat and the rice. It works as a traveling agent kind of thing. And then, of course, garlic works miracles in everything, in terms of health, in terms of taste. And there is also the tomato paste and the puree, which is the hidden hero. Tomato, when it's really ripe, it's very high on umami. Umami is the fifth taste. You know, there is the bitterness from the spices, there is the saltiness, there is the sweetness from the onions. Tomato paste does this, hires up all the taste that we have, gets 2 times, 3 times higher. So basically, in many kinds of dolmas, for example, we're gonna today fill the dolma filling into a pepper. But in Turkey, we have melon dolma, we have onion dolma, tomato dolma. Sometimes we put the rice into the mussels or the fish or a big lamb inside a big lamb or a turkey or kind of thing. So all these stuffings are done once you get the idea of making a great inside of dolma. Okay, I talked too much on the theory, but this is actually something probably many of the Turkish people in here do without understanding, but this is the basics. So back home, for example, if you don't have rice, you can change it into something you have. It could be couscous, it could be bulgur, quinoa, many of the things. Actually, there were Turkish people traveled to Peru and they were doing some quinoa dolma, and you can switch the meat into, for example, mushrooms or tofu, maybe halloumi. These would all work. And the spices is to your taste. You can change them very easily. I had a long explanation. I'm going to cut the recipe to really short and explain tak 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 so that we are gonna eat the dolma in an hour. First, the peppers. I'm going to use these peppers as the outside. So I have to take this stem part out. To do that, I'm going to push my thumb inside like this. In the last part, if I push too much, I'm gonna crack the peppers. So I take it out like that and then rip it like this and take extra seeds out. And to inside of this, I'm going to have a tablespoon of salt and sugar together. I put some salt and some sugar and then rub the inside. This way, I'm kind of cracking the cells so that the flavor of the dolma can get into the skin of the pepper. I decrease the bitterness by the sugar, the acidity as well, and the saltiness increases the taste. So I prepare all the peppers like this and put them on the side. The second thing, normally sometimes people put the lid on top like that, but I want to make it into a more Istanbul dolma. In all different parts of Turkey, there will be different types of dolma. Some becomes more neat, some becomes more like a posh one. So this is gonna like a blink an eye to a portions. And here I have 4 tomatoes, and what I'm gonna do is cut the sides like that. The first 4 sides. And then 1 from the bottom. And these are gonna be caps of the dolma, and I'm going to show you how it becomes like that. In some videos, I know that people cut the peppers like this, lose this place. It's first of all loss of good stuff, and secondly, it's against the nature of dolma, because as we know from the anatomy, it has to be closed space, and inside the heat gets in and all the goodness gets stuck inside, so that with the pressure as well, the taste increases. And the rest of the tomato, I grate these tomatoes and gonna use it in the inside of the filling. So none of the tomatoes gets thrown away. Now I grate the tomatoes to the very end. What's left of them is something like this. First, we put 200 grams of minced meat. This is actually from beef. You can use lamb, you can even use chicken actually. And I'm going to put 1.5 big onion. I grated those. And grating the onion gets the juices out. I don't throw away the juice because the juice opens up the pores. Already, as you can see, the meat started to change color. Then I'm going to put a tablespoon of salt and 4 cloves of garlic inside. First, I'm going to mix these two together. Actually, onion also does is it is like, think of it as small pillows of wateriness, juice. All these things are like small pillows of water. So when it's cooking, it also helps to smooth the taste in the mouth and it preserves the wateriness. Then 100 milliliters of tomato puree gets in. Another 100 is gonna be for the outside. Then I have Sorry guys, this is the pepper paste we made. A whole tablespoon of pepper paste and the grated tomatoes gets in. Then the oil. I'm going to put quite generously almost 100 milliliters of olive oil. And this is our beautiful olive oil from Iowa. Look, it smells like heaven. And 2 tablespoons of butter. Then I'm going to add half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of cumin, and then half a teaspoon of yeni bahar, which is 5 spice. Allspice, sorry.
Always mix that up.
Sorry. It's Turkish is new spring. Yeni bahar, which is like same as bahar. And finally, one of the main ingredients is the rice. I have just put the rice in warm water and I'm taking this starchy water away, and I'm going to put the rice inside as well. Finally, the herbs. 13 sprigs of parsley, 2 sprigs of mint. For the mint, I'm going to take the stems away like that. thinly slice them and also thinly slice the parsley and add it to the mixture. Now I'm going to mix everything. It's so tasty. If you're vegetarian and don't want to use meat, you simply can do the same recipe, increasing the amount of rice or add another thing which is tasty like cheese. I have to melt the butter with my hands like this. As you can see, it's this beautiful mixture.
Smells wonderful.
Smells wonderful, even raw tastes wonderful. But I'm not gonna mix it very much. I just like roughly mix it because I don't want to break the rice, etc. Here it is. Now, after preparing this, I have to prepare the water for the sauce. I'm going to have about 500 milliliters of water, a tablespoon of butter inside. Butter is gonna melt. 100 milliliters of tomato puree. But some is left here, so oh, it goes. A few times. A tablespoon of tomato paste. If you don't have this tomato paste back home where you live, you can increase the tomato puree to 200 milliliters. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of black pepper, and 2 pinches of sugar to balance the taste of the tomatoes. Finally, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. If you're looking for a great olive oil, guys, I can very easily say that this is one of the greatest of Turkey, maybe in the world as well. It has awards worldwide and you can buy it from Etsy. I know the shipping costs stupidly, but it's worth it. Now, this is gonna be, the Turkish cooking is different from the French cuisine. French cuisine makes a dish like meat and there's a sauce on top. Turkish cooking, usually the food cooks in the sauce. That's how it works. Now it's about 600 milliliters of the sauce. I'm going to have 200 milliliters inside the dolma. It smells wonderful. So, as you can see, it's a quite juicy filling. Now it's time to put it into my dolma. I'm gonna put it in with a teaspoon so that it's easier. After you put a few, you just have to like tap it like this so that it goes down and like fills into the gaps. But I don't fill it until the top. There's a half a centimeter of space, and then I put the tomato here. So it works as a cap, and the size of the tomato gets inside the pepper like this. Voila. For the pan that is gonna cook, we need something that can get into the oven and also has a lid. I'm just gonna put it directly. First one will always fall. We're gonna put them in nice order once it's very crowded. Now I continue, fill all these peppers like this. Now, as it is stuffed peppers, the pot has to be also stuffed as well. Everything is ready, and I'm going to put this beautiful tasty juice inside the peppers as well. The black peppers might be at the bottom, so shake it well, and it becomes so very tasty. This goes here, and I turn the heat, and for 25 minutes. First, it's going to, on the highest heat, it's going to start to bubble up. And after it starts to bubble up, I'm going to turn the heat a bit low. And then after 25 minutes, I'm going to take the lid off and put it in the oven, 200 degrees. The top is gonna will brown and it will have an extra taste and it's gonna be wonderful. And it's very important for the heat to be very high at this point. The dish comes to the boiling point as soon as possible. The faster it is, the tastier the food is gonna be. Now, my dolmas are almost ready. I take the middle one out. Take this beautiful juice to the top of the dolmas once. Some of the brownness might be too much. If you don't want it that brown, take it off 5 minutes earlier if you like. Now, the dolma is ready to serve. Probably 3 dolmas would be enough for 1 person or 2. And this juice is gonna be even thicker. And dolma should be eaten with the juice. It's very important, very essential.
You should do shamandra.
Bahar, I know you don't eat meat. To understand and to get the taste, I want to show you. Dip your bread and have a taste. Very nice, huh? And also dolma is eaten with yogurt. If you don't have yogurt and you have your dolma, it's kind of meaningless in Turkey. And Turkish yogurts are not sweet, so also there's this beautiful sourness. I want to show you the inside now. Inside there's the rice, there's the meat. So you eat it like this, kind of hot. Perfect balance. I hope you enjoyed our video. If you liked our video, you know what to do. Several things around. Take care.